This antagonism between the use value and exchange value of labor power expresses a social antagonism between capitalists and workers. Capitalists and workers have opposing interests. Workers want their means of subsistence, housing, food, clothes, beer. They want use values. Capitalists aren't interested in use values. They are after exchange value. They want to expand the size of their capital by making a profit. In order for either class to get what they want, they need the other. The workers must sell themselves for a wage in order to survive. The capitalist must hire workers in order to exploit them for profits. Yet despite this codependence, their interests are entirely antagonistic. The more the workers are paid in wages, the less profit the capitalist makes. The more profit the capitalist makes, the more impoverished the working class. Clearly, the struggle between capital and labor has always been present in capitalist societies, whether it takes the form of day-to-day struggles over the amount of work we consent to, or long-term battles for better wages and working conditions. But even outside of the workplace, the class antagonisms of capitalism are clearly ever present. The distribution of the value created by the working class into wages, profits, rent, interest, and taxes has everything to do with the standard of living we are able to enjoy, the kinds of neighborhoods we live in, the type of life chances we have, and the quality of our lives. In a society structured to maximize profit for one class, rather than produce use values for social need, the quality of our lives is inversely proportional to the needs of capital. In the past 30 years, as neoliberalism broke down barriers to the free flow of capital, massive sums of wealth have been consolidated into the hands of a smaller and smaller class of uber-capitalists, while the standard of living for the rest of the world has steadily worsened. Society has enough food, housing, and technology that the entire world's population could work a lot less and still have all of the basic amenities of life. And these lives would probably be more fulfilling if we didn't spend our whole life working for someone else. But we don't have such a society, because our labor is not aimed at creating use values for society, but at creating profit for capital. The constant revolutions in technology and productivity are not aimed at making work easier or improving the quality of our lives, but in creating more profit by submitting labor to greater control. Thus, the workplace becomes increasingly dominated by machines, assembly lines, and computers, all designed to discipline labor to its task of creating more value. As the knowledge of work is removed from the worker, it is placed into the machine. The worker loses control over the labor process, becoming just a minor cog in the machine, easily replaceable. Another contradiction is revealed, that between the conception and execution of work. Our own knowledge of the labor process is taken away from us and placed in a machine which dominates us, reducing our work to a job, the carrying out of routine tasks, with no meaning to us except that they are means to a wage. This is a contradiction which fascinates popular culture, man versus machine. But behind the machine lies a social relation between ourselves and our own creative powers that have been taken away from us, alienated from us, standing over us, dominating our work. And with this steady accumulation of capital in the form of machines comes another contradiction, this one between the capital invested in dead labor like machines and raw materials, and the capital invested in living labor. Though an increase in machinery allows capitalists to better exploit workers, machines can't create value. As more and more capital is reinvested into machines and raw materials, and less on labor, the actual value-creating substance of society is crowded out. This is the starting point for Marx's theory of crisis. As the mass of capital that must be constantly reinvested in expanding production grows, it becomes increasingly invested in dead labor rather than living labor. This sets the stage for massive crises that require the destruction and devaluation of capital in all of its forms. All of Marx's model of a capitalist society is derived from his basic starting point, the analysis of the commodity. From this basic idea of value as the organizing principle of a commodity-producing society, he establishes the contradiction between the use value and exchange value of a commodity. And then, over the course of multiple volumes, he shows how the unfolding of this contradiction reveals all of these other contradictions. Contradictions between classes, between society and itself, between people and machines, and between the conception and execution of work. What begins as a seemingly innocuous distinction between use and exchange value becomes the substance of class struggle and crisis. This doesn't mean that every problem in society is directly explained by the law of value. Yet, how can we discuss inequality without first understanding the way in which social wealth and power is created and distributed? How can we discuss violence without first understanding the coercive nature of the market, the deep inequalities generated by commodity exchange, and the compulsion of capital to accumulate at all costs? How can we discuss a solution to the environmental crisis without first discussing the way the productive relations of a capitalist society are organized? The problem with the left is not that there are not enough people who care about these things. It's that not enough people have the theoretical tools or the desire to talk about these things in terms of the basic structure of our society. That's why the law of value is so important to understand today. If we want to overcome the antagonisms of society, we need to first understand how these antagonisms are related, and to do this, we must start at the beginning with an analysis of the commodity.